I couldn't believe that I had accomplished these things because I never set out to be AJ Styles.
What up, everyone? SHAK here, and you know who this is. He will kick you in the nuts, spit some bars, and walk away with his hand held high. The two-time WWE Cruiserweight Champion, joining me ahead of the February 7th premiere of MLW Underground Wrestling on Reelz. No one more appropriate than Real1. How you doing?
Bada boom, realest show in the room. How you doing, bro? Straight to the moon, baby. They're riding the realest rocket. We put the real in reels. Check out the network February 7th. We're going to be tearing it up, dude. MLW Underground. I'm happy to be a part of this. It's a great opportunity for me. I've been a part of something really special, the start of NXT, and I feel like there's a rebirth here, an opportunity and growth with a new company doing some incredible television. I'm feuding with one of the biggest stars in pro wrestling right now. And Tinkle Tinkle Little Star. I hope he's got his tweezers and his magnifying glass ready. Microman is going to be real pissed on February 4th when I take him on in the dumpster match. Hold him up in the air like he's Simba in The Lion King. Show everybody what a piece of crap he is. Drop his bloody ass in a feminine napkin disposal box because I don't think he needs a dumpster, okay? But I'll throw Mance Warner in the dumpster. Mance don't stand a chance at the dance. We're going toe-to-toe with Zoe. This weekend, don't miss it, 2300 Arena, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Definitely not winning the Super Bowl. So at least before that happens, you can come enjoy some pro wrestling, Major League Wrestling in Philly. Saturday. How you doing?
I love it. You know, I was gonna ask, and we will get to it, about sort of the role that you want to play as a major component of MLW in this next chapter. And I think you've already given us a hint of it. Before we do, not that we need a warm up. You know, you're always on the ball, but I always like to break the ice, start with something kind of away. So I've come up with a little game for you I'd like to play, okay?
Let's go.
All right, I've labeled this soft or certified. I'm going to give you 4 takes. You let me know if it's a soft take or if it's the real deal, okay?
All right.
All right. One of MLW's all-time greatest factions, the Dynasty, Richard Holiday, World Heavyweight Champion Alex Hammerstone, and MJF, the current AEW World Champion. Soft or certified, MJF cuts the best promo in pro wrestling today, and I think I know your answer.
Swift.
Shout out to Dax Harwood, who knows who the realest one in the room is, by the way. Cody Rhodes recently said...
Hey, would you, before we get there, would you agree that FTR is the greatest tag team of all time?
Would I agree that FTR... Wow. I mean, of the last 5 years, definitely. All time... You know what hurts? I really wanted to see...
Who puts on better matches?
Better matches, like old school tag... Yeah, they are my favorite in the squared circle. They are my favorite tag team, bell to bell. What pains me is I really wish they got to complete that sort of world title saga where they were capturing all the belts. It really pains me that we didn't get to see the conclusion that we were working towards. But that's not their fault.
I can tell you through my experience in the ring. I've been in the ring with John Cena, AJ Styles. I've been in the ring with Sting. I've been in the ring with Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Doesn't mean I wrestled them all, but fuck, I was in the ring with them. No, but seriously, I've been in the ring with some really great wrestlers, the best in the world, and we were under that roof all together. And the people who would know best who the best wrestlers are in the world are literally the people who built the Performance Center, put the rings together, painted the walls, and then wrestled there for the next 4 years. I would say that Dax Harwood is one of the greatest pro wrestlers in the history of pro wrestling.
Well, he's been nailing those one-on-one spots. And who did Randy Orton go to when he needed some training to get back into prime shape?
Trying to tell you, man, people don't know unless they've been in the ring and felt people. If shit hits different. Certainly. You lock up with that guy, the shit hits different.
Well, listen, I love your proclamation there because you can ask me as a fan, but I've never been in there, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple more for you. Big Bill is a better name than W. Morrissey.
Soft.
Last one. People sleep on just how good the MLW roster is.
Certified.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's start there. You did such a great job off the top of letting everyone know what's going on with MLW and what we're sort of gearing up to. For you, what do you see as sort of the role you occupy in bringing MLW into this next chapter? Because everyone has a role to play.
Well, I mean, everybody knows I'm a certified G, and if it wasn't for me, MLW wouldn't be on TV. All right. Quite frankly, I took us to this dance. All right. I'm Smack Talker Skywalker. Got a microphone lightsaber for a hater. Whether it's hate or love, it's all the same when it's coming from the fakes. You can shower me in love and hydrate me with the haterade, dog. Bring it out. I don't care. If you want to come and show love, you want to come and hate, that's what pro wrestling is. It's a show. Okay. And I think I was just talking to one of the interviewers earlier and talking about MLW. And I just said to him, I was watching a short that came up on YouTube with Chris Van Vliet and Billy Gunn, and Billy Gunn was asked about Rock burying him on the mic or making fun of him and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, when I got backstage, I died laughing too, because it was great TV and it was funny and you guys all enjoyed it. And The Rock didn't mean it. He's a good guy and he did pretty well for himself. I think he's an okay guy. So it's like, bro, this is a show, and people get minced with real life. And I think that I played that off the hinges character of, Pillman to my detriment when I got out of the WWE. I was like, hey, man, if everybody thinks I'm off my rocker and I can't do business, then fuck it. Let's go with that. And it got me booked at Madison Square Garden. Never forget. R.I.P. Jamin. Tough. I'll never get to have that match with the Briscoes and with Cass. And I would have loved that more than anything in the world. But, tomorrow is never promised for anybody. And I think that I am so grateful now, maybe more than ever, to have an opportunity somewhere to be great, to do what I love, to touch, people in ways that only pro wrestling can, where they forget about the IRS, their marital woes, their issues with their children in school and grades, and they're in the audience suspending their disbelief in a moment's time and agreeing that whatever they're watching is real in that moment, and really enthralling themselves into it. And we, as the performers, have a responsibility to go out there and put on a show. And I've never taken it lightly, that opportunity to vicariously live through that child, because my father once took me to shows as a kid where I got to sit in that crowd and fantasize about being that thing that I did become. And I know that there's going to be a kid in the crowd that's at that show that's going to become a pro wrestler one day. And I think that can never be lost on us when you're out there performing, that what we did was sparked by an interest garnered as a child. And we really need to adhere to those principles at times. I know that I'm a part of something that is a bit edgier as far as the product that MLW is putting on. But as a PG product in the WWE for 7 years, I never cursed on a microphone. So I think that you got to remember that you are a role model. And I try not to get lost in the sauce. There's definitely been times in my career where literally Muscles Marinara, that character I played where you're getting the love everywhere you go. Everybody wants to buy you a drink at the bar. You never have to pay for your food anymore. Everybody's sending you free sneakers and free clothes, and all those things that you wanted when you were broke, you're getting now for free. I tried not to lose myself in it too much and tried to take a step back and humble myself over the past 5 years. And I found that the man I am today, as opposed to the man I was when I was 30 years old, riding a rocket that nobody ever rode before, to become a rookie in the WWE, to garner that kind of star power that literally should have you in private jets in first class when you're making that kind of money for the company as the #1 merchandise seller in the entire world of pro wrestling. On the other hand, nothing can really prepare you for the type of fame that you're about to garner. And you're flying coach, and you're in the back of these airplanes where Big Show's in the front, who deserves that space and damn well was going to get it.
And he needs that space too. I don't think he's fitting in.
Absolutely. So I think that this time around in pro wrestling, that's what I'm really looking at this as. This time around, man. This is a whole new obstacle for me. I'm as confident as any in my abilities as being one of the greatest orators in the world. Literally, put me on a microphone anywhere, any place, anytime, and I'd feel confident in my ability to communicate and convey the words that are going to be essential for the action that's about to take place, certainly in the world of pro wrestling, because so much of what we do is storytelling, and it's dictated and predicated upon the fans, their reaction. And there's been great wrestlers who have been able to premeditate those reactions, but I am one of those that personally enjoys the process these days of the improvisational efforts of a real pro to go out there and whether that be on the mic or in the ring. And older Eric in NXT wrote every single word that came out of his mouth and rehearsed it in the mirror 1,000 times. And to the point where if I said the word but and not and, I was extremely upset with myself. Okay. And I held myself accountable to that for 5 to 6 years. By the time I was a heel in pro wrestling, the confidence level was through the roof. And I had written so many jokes and had so much material that the opponent in the moment would spark that thought. I did not need to write it down as much anymore. Granted, the promos that I do these days, like that, one of the hottest feuds in pro wrestling right now, quite frankly, is me and Microman. Okay, don't ever sleep on my man Microman. Microman, burning down me all day long. My man Microman is a rocket man, dude. He's a fucking star. And when he comes through the curtain at MLW, people go shit wild. And I saw an opportunity and I wanted to work with Microman because that's what this is. It's a show. And we should never lose thought of that. Wrestlers are human beings too. But if you can't take the heat, then you should get out the kitchen. And I have taken more heat in this business than anybody ever. And that probably comes with the karma of being able to dish it better than anybody that ever has. So people probably think my skin is as thick as any. And it probably is at this point. I feel like B Rabbit in 8 Mile. Like, you can't say anything about me that hasn't been said, and I'm gonna shit on you if you try to. I am really enjoying this resurgence, and the start of it in MLW did not. I didn't come in the door dancing backwards and singing and playing the YMCA, SAWFT. You know, I enjoy the fan interaction as anything. But I started off working with a younger talent that beat me eventually, and I wasn't having fun on the microphone. I was showing a different side of myself, an angrier side of myself that came into this thing. And now we're at the point where I'm wrestling Microman. So MLW has been a phenomenal journey for me. The creative, the opportunity that Court gave me, the creative that we're doing right now is far different than the way it started. And he trusted me when I told him that we'll get there. And I just want to paint a picture, but I want to do it slowly. And I need to brush. And we're at the point now where we're on TV. And now is where the show really begins for me. I promise you, it's going to be every time I get on that television screen again for the first time in 5 years, it's going to be some of the best shit in pro wrestling that week. Every week, bar none. And I dare anybody to try to stop me. And no one will speak up. There ain't no promotion in the world that has a wrestler on their roster that's dumb enough to speak some shit on me. If you really think about it, there ain't no wrestlers out here barking my name. None that I would do business with, especially. I mean, they're not, because they know what would happen if they did. I'll get on my platform called Instagram with my 1.1 million followers that has more followers than most of these wrestlers do in AEW or WWE, a lot of them, right? Okay. My platform alone, I have 1.1 million followers. The winner of the Royal Rumble has 1 million. Okay? That's not a fucking joke. That's real. So women lie, men lie, numbers don't lie. When I bust a promo on Microman and it gets 400,000 views on my Instagram alone, 250, 300,000, the reach, all that shit. We're playing a different game now. This is not the same world that it used to be, and pro wrestlers can survive in a social media market. This isn't 1998. You get fired. Where am I going to go wrestle next? Right? So I have been afforded this opportunity, this grandiose opportunity through social media to really pick and choose my battles and to see the big picture. because I'm afforded an opportunity to not have to wrestle every single week. And when I look at the grand scheme of things, I see MLW as this vast landscape of opportunity. And lo and behold, to me, here we are. We're about to be on television. So if that doesn't speak to the truth, I don't know what does. You know, I think the proof is in the pudding, and I can't wait to see the growth when this thing actually hits TV, to see where it goes. I believe in it. I believe in us.
You know, you kind of touched on it throughout, sort of painting that picture of your journey, and that's kind of the interesting thing about the pro wrestling business. You know, you have guys who, maybe start out on the independent scene and then get picked up. You have people like AJ Styles who really reach the pinnacle everywhere they go, and eventually, by the time they are picked up by a promotion like WWE, they're a made man. And then you have people like yourself who start out in that behemoth of a business model.
How many people are there like myself? Tell
Very
me that
few.
again. How many people started off, never had a wrestling match in their entire life until they got into a WWE ring, and then got fired with 1 million followers on social media and had to be a guinea pig and figure this thing out? It hasn't been easy by any stretch of the imagination.
So totally. And so that's really sort of what I wanted to sort of dive into a little bit. You know, I know Cody's name has been brought up a couple of times. I have a distinct memory of Cody Rhodes talking about how when he left the WWE, it was Bryan Danielson who kind of had to walk him through, well, you know, now you got to book your own flights, you got to reach out to this guy, and this is sort of the structure of the business. For you, coming out of knowing pro wrestling as a WWE model, what were some of the lessons?
There's a great example of somebody who figured it the fuck out.
Yeah, totally. So what is the process from WWE to now MLW been like for you, sort of having to parse through all these other avenues of the business that you weren't really exposed to when you were on the WWE banner?
Well, for me, it was for one thing that I've been great with in my lifetime, blessed with, is timing. And my timing couldn't have been better, and I did not capitalize. And so I've been pretty open about saying that to other wrestlers who have been fired, as there was a drastic amount of people being let go from the company after COVID hit, and in batches, guys like Gallows and Anderson, who, when they got fired, I was one of the first people to reach out to Gallows when I saw him doing this Sex Ferguson character on Instagram. And we created a cartoon out of it, with Mila Kunis, called The Gimmicks. And right now they're doing a season based on Rocky Romero's character Chico. He's an MLW. He's done some MLW, Rocky Romero, but he works with New Japan. He's a great wrestler. And Gallows and Anderson. So imagine Gallows and Anderson get fired like a couple weeks after wrestling with The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And I hit him up and I'm like, bro, do not step off the gas. You got a lot of momentum right now. Your name's all over the place right now. You need to keep pushing the content, keep creating this thing, push, talk, and shop. Because when I got out of WWE and released my first music video, I got millions of views.
I think it's millions, like 3.9 million right now. I was watching it this morning.
Yeah, so that accrued millions of views, millions of streams as well. Good money, paid for itself. Then the next music video I dropped, millions of views, Bury Me a G. And then I stepped off the gas. I just never hit the indies. So imagine you're a pro wrestler and you get out of WWE and you're like, 5,000 people come to meet you in Times Square. You're me. You go, fuck this. I don't need the WWE. I got to be able to figure this out on my own. I got to be able to fucking monetize this. There's 5,000 people here in Times Square to meet me on my first appearance outside of the WWE after a 5-month social media silence. I dropped the music video, and then I don't hold up a sign that says, promoters, book me. Here's my email. I want to wrestle right now. I missed the boat. I missed the boat so bad. I could have been wrestling, right? But I was so burnt out. I took 2 years away from pro wrestling altogether. And then I had to build back up some steam. But my first ever match outside of WWE, I had never done the indies. John Moxley was wrestling Big Cass in John Moxley's first match outside the WWE. Him and Cass were good friends, and he wanted it to be his first match in the States. I managed Big Cass. I was in Big Cass's corner for that, and I had never been on the indies before in my life. And at that show, I met Brian Pillman Jr., who walked up to me and paid me the greatest compliment I'd ever received in the business. I see this kid with hair and a smile, and I don't even know he's Pillman's son. And I'm like, that kid is awesome, and he's going to have a ton of heat just because he looks cool, right? So he comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, man, I'm really good friends with Stone Cold." And I'm like, "Oh my God, this guy's going to have so much heat, dude. Like, people are going to." He's like, "Yeah, I'm Pillman's son." He goes, "Stone Cold told me one time I was asking for advice when I first broke in. He said, learn how to work the stick like Enzo." And I was like,
Hey.
holy shit. In that moment, I walked up to the promoter and I said, "When's your next wrestling match?" And he said, "At the Mid Hudson Civic Center is our next big show." I said, "That's the last place I wrestled in the WWE. 205 Live Tour was at the Mid Hudson Civic Center. You mean to tell me your next big show is at the same place I had my last match? I want to wrestle Pillman." And I wrestled Pillman and I called it out there in the ring, a lot of it. It was funny at one point in the match, I got him in a headlock or something, and I'm like, tackle, drop down, leapfrog, right? And all he hears is leapfrog. What's after that, right? Tackle, drop down, leapfrog. There's got to be something after that, you know? Like, so he's probably hitting the ropes like, wait, what? And when he hit the ropes, I pretend I hurt my knee when I leapfrog. So there was nothing after that, but he didn't know. So that I pretended I hurt my knee and I'm laying, and this is my first match back. Now imagine it's your first match back. Within the first opening spot, you pretend you blew out your knee. I had all the people by the balls. Everybody thought I blew my knee out, right? And then I told the referee to tell him to throw. I said, throw the X up, like I'm really hurt.
Awesome.
The referee throws the X up and Pillman turns around and I put him in a headlock. I ran up from behind and put him in a headlock. And all the crowd's like, oh. Then I told him, pick me up, drop me, and do my dance. Do my dance. Now, I don't do my dance. You do my dance, right? When he hit my dance, that was a way bigger reaction than I could have ever got doing wrestling moves. You know what I'm saying? I was really happy with the way that match went, and it was a different side of me. I came out to no entrance music. I looked like Raven. I had like a black leather jacket on and wet hair. Raven. And I just wanted to put one out there on tape that wasn't Enzo Amore singing and dancing and show you that, like, hey, if I wanted to wrestle, which there's not a lot of money in, I could. But the singing and dancing works better for me. And I don't care what the critics have to say. I enjoy putting on shows with Microman as opposed to putting on technical spectacles with, you know, the fucking greatest grappler in Canada.
It is the entertainment business. Last thing on, you know, as we close close one chapter and start the next, and I want to finish up on some lighter stuff, just kind of get to know you outside of pro wrestling a bit. I was watching an interview you did, sort of reflecting on your 2018 Survivor Series appearance, and you sort of described it as a moment of closure. So what I'd like to ask you is, what was the closure you were looking for, and what was the closure you got out of that moment?
So anytime, you know, you're an athlete and your career ends and it's not on your terms, you know, I honestly can tell you, when I was in the WWE, I was so happy with the way my career went. Having a tag title match against the Hardys, who I idolized, Jeff, like
biggest pop of all time.
And then getting fired with a title around my waist, it was too good to be true. I couldn't believe that I had accomplished these things because I never set out to be AJ Styles, and I never thought I would be, and I didn't think they would ever let me. I didn't think I'd have that opportunity to go through it, and I didn't think my body would hold up long enough to get there. I was hurting. My body was broken. People don't know. At the end of my run, I needed multiple surgeries, and I didn't get any of them. Okay? So it's crazy. I got screws and a plate in my leg in the WWE that I was supposed to get removed in the WWE, and I never did. And then I got fired. So what do you do? For me, it was closure. I didn't leave on my terms. I left on your terms. You kicked me out the fucking door and painted a picture of me like I was a bad guy, when in reality, you saw me do all those make-a-wishes. You saw me get up and go to work every day. You saw me on the steps at 5:30 in the fucking morning, every morning, beating everyone to work in NXT and getting kicked out of the building. So now you want to paint this picture of me when you fire me that I'm a bad guy. I never got a phone call from police when I got fired. There was no trial. There was a trial on the internet by Twitter against a guy who was playing a character on a TV show, much like Billy Gunn alluded to. Mm-hmm. He's an okay guy, The Rock. He didn't mean it, okay? I wanted to wrestle again, but I knew it wasn't going to be with the WWE. And in order to paint the picture of a character that I knew would get booked in the premises of of Jake Paul, Logan Paul, Tekashi 6ix9ine, I was riding the same wave they were in 2018. Okay? I'm going to be so over the top. You don't know if it's real. You don't know if I can really sit down and be a rational human being and just you think that I'm this character. But that's what sells pro wrestling tickets. So when I trend #1 in the world at Survivor Series, I knew that was what was going to happen. I had the confidence in myself, and it happened, and I did it. And then that parlayed a booking into Madison Square Garden, where I knew the producer there at the time was Joey Mercury, my first coach in the WWE. And he was in the Ring of Honor along with Bubba Ray Dudley, who I had a great relationship with. So I talked to Bubba and Joey. I want to invade the Madison Square Garden show, parlay what I did with Survivor Series, but I'll be with Big Cass, which will be the first time we have been seen together or on screen since we broke up in the #1 trend in pro wrestling that year. The highest rated segment in wrestling that year was when me and Big Cass broke up. If you can get me and Big Cass in the arena, you're going to get the #1 trend in the world, but you can't film it because you need to make it look like Survivor Series, where the fucking cameras weren't on me and people will really think it's real. And you need to do it with the Briscoes because they're the only two psychos who are man enough to fucking make this thing look real and hurt each other. And I don't, outside of maybe Dash and Dawson, and I can maybe name a couple other people, I don't know that anyone else in the world could have pulled that spot off, especially as good as we did that day. The fact that we did not get booked again to do Ring of Honor Part 2 with the Briscoes in Madison Square Garden is something that will haunt me for the rest of my life. And it was there. You would have sold out Madison Square Garden if you booked the next day Briscoes versus Enzo and Cass in a ladder match for the tag titles at Ring of Honor. And you didn't even need New Japan at that point. You would have sold that bitch out. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. And nobody wanted to book Enzo and Cass because they thought that shit was a shoot or it was real or that we weren't doing good business. But we wanted to keep the business alive by keeping it a secret at that time, whether it was real or not. And it bit us in the ass and it just backfired. But everything happens for a reason. Certainly. God had a plan. Big Cass needed to get clean. He needed to go away and get his life in order. And he is in the best shape of his life. It looks like a $1 million movie star should be fighting fucking Thor in a Marvel movie sometime soon. Big Cass is now in AEW, signed to a contract. Everything happens for a reason. I'm here at Major League Wrestling at the ground floor of a new TV show. If God wanted me there, I would be there. If God wanted me here, I would be here. I am exactly where I'm supposed to be.
And well, REAL1, first of all, I want to thank you so much for your candor. Candidly, I wish we had more time because I'd love to talk Hooters with you, the Jersey Shore, hidden food spots. We're going to have to save that for another time, so I hope we can do it again. I'm so happy to see how invigorated and passionate and excited you are for the February 7th premiere of MLW Underground Wrestling on Reelz. If there's anything you want to let the people know, the floor is yours. Over here.
REAL1, I make music. If you don't believe in me and my music, it's just because you're simply a hater. You're not giving me a shot. You're not giving me a chance. I promise you I make some good music. There's a lot of it out there. It's rock. It's rap. Put me in the box when I'm dead because I don't have a genre. But check out Hacksaw by REAL1. Guy tried to break into Hacksaw Jim Duggan's house. Hacksaw Jim Duggan pulled a 44 cal out on him and told him to spread eagle on his front lawn until the fucking cop showed up. I made a song about it. It's fucking awesome. It's called Hacksaw. It's by REAL1. Check me out. A lot of good music out there right now and a lot more to come. Thank you guys for supporting an independent artist and an independent pro wrestler. Now working with Major League Wrestling as a partnership is the way I see it, baby. Reelz to the moon.